He's the author of the #1 New York Times bestseller, The Russia Hoax. It is the illicit scheme to clear Hillary Clinton, frame Donald Trump. Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett and Fox News investigative reporter and contributor Sara Carter. Sara, let's go to the news. This just broke within the last hour or so. You now got new text messages on top of the old text messages. We got a response from the attorney, from Peter Strzok. It is ridiculous considering we can read and we have fundamental, simple, basic understanding of what they were texting back and forth. Let's talk about the new text messages.
Well, I think these new text messages, Sean, really expose what was going on inside the FBI and DOJ. Once again, we're seeing more evidence of basically collusion within the FBI and DOJ to change and shift the narrative during the 2016 investigation into President Trump and then candidate Trump and collusion with Russia. I mean, there has never been any proof of this. We know now, based on these text messages, not only did they use a dossier that was unverified, a dossier that was salacious, one that even Christopher Steele, who he wrote himself, that it was not verified. And now we're seeing in these text messages that they were shifting the narrative. What's most important here, Sean, is that Congress get to the bottom of this. That is why they are asking Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein to investigate this. We need to re-question all of these players. Strzok, Page, Sally Yates, the boss of Bruce Orr, everyone. Everybody needs to be re-questioned on this, and they need to find the answers to these questions because, honestly, it's not looking good for them.
Greg.
The statement today by Strzok and his attorney is ludicrous, it's laughable, and it's actually shameful and dishonest. They are saying...
You ever have your kids in life when they're little and they try to lie to you?
Right.
And you're like, don't insult my intelligence.
Right.
Stop.
They must think Americans are stupid. So they issue this statement saying, oh, Peter Strzok was trying to detect and stop leaks. Look at the plain language of the text. Here's one of them. Article is out, exclamation point, well done, Page. That is not stopping a leak, that's creating a story.
We got to sound more folksy.
Leak.
We got to sound more folksy. Yeah.
I mean, so all of this just underscores that there was one purpose in mind, and that was to damage Donald Trump and undo the election. And they were all leaking. It wasn't just Strzok and Page. Andrew McCabe, now under investigation for leaking to the media and lying about it 4 times. The biggest leaker of all, of course, is James Comey, who stole government documents, gave them to an unauthorized person for the sole purpose of leaking them to trigger the special counsel.
So we have Strzok-Page, we have McCabe, we have Comey, Sarah, we have Yates, or we have Steele, but we also have Rod Rosenstein.
We have Rod
Rosenstein.
Rosenstein?
In many ways, because he appointed Mueller. I really want to get into this. He kind of holds the keys to the kingdom in a way, doesn't he? Because doesn't he get to decide, A, if, let's say, Mueller writes a report, he will make the decision, if I'm not mistaken, if the report is released to the American people. Number 2, doesn't he get to decide? Rob Mueller has to go to him and say, I want to subpoena Donald Trump, and I want to get him under oath, and I want to have a year-long court fight to make him testify before a grand jury. So if Rod Rosenstein is conflicted in this whole thing, which we now know he is because he signed the 4th FISA warrant, the 3rd renewal, how does that work? And he's a witness in the Comey firing because he wrote the recommendation.
Exactly, and that's what I was going to say. He's, you know, as far as obstruction is concerned, and if Mueller is going down that road, I mean, Rod Rosenstein himself was the one that wrote the letter to recommend the firing of Comey. He wrote the letter to President Trump, so he's either a witness or a co-conspirator. He can't be in charge of this investigation. And another point, in fact, Sean, he signed that 4th FISA, and this is why it is imperative that President Trump declassify those documents, declassify the FISA documents that need to be declassified, the Gang of 8 dossier that they showed to particular members of Congress. That's very important because that also contains exculpatory information, and the Bruce Orr interviews with the FBI. Once all that information is out, the American people are going to know the truth. And that's why it is so important to hold these people in the DOJ accountable and get those documents declassified.
I don't think the president should do it all in one dump. I think if they're all so important, you should do one day. Let the American people absorb the magnitude of it, then another one, then another one. But here's the thing. What is the culpability here of Rod Rosenstein, Greg Jarrett?
Oh, it could be tremendous. It depends on what's in the Rosenstein renewal.
Would he be the one that decides whether or not they pursue a subpoena against Trump? Does he make that decision, or does Mueller make it?
Well, it would be Mueller initially, but with permission and consent of Rod Rosenstein.
And if Rod says no, it doesn't happen.
Rod Rosenstein is so conflicted, he shouldn't just be not in the Department of Justice.
Wouldn't he get mad, though, if Donald Trump released... Wait a minute, but here's the conflict. Wouldn't he get mad if Donald Trump releases the FISA warrant that he signed? And does he then seek revenge by saying, we're going to go after and subpoena the president?
He might well do that. Look, he has every interest to continue to obstruct
so he holds
the release
the keys
of
to the
these
kingdom,
documents.
doesn't he?
He absolutely does. This is a man
So if you release anything about me that makes me look bad, I'm going to unleash Mueller even further on you.
He absolutely could. This is the abuse.
Is that justice in America?
This is the abuse of power, and there's no justice at the Department of Justice currently under Rod Rosenstein and Jeff Sessions.
Last word, Sarah.
You know, he could, Sean. But that doesn't take away from the fact that the American people deserve to know the truth. We deserve to understand what happened here, and we deserve to move on. So we need those declassified.
All right. Unbelievable information. That close. Cards are going to come tumbling down. Thank you both. You guys have been amazing throughout the process. Eric Trump is here.